Okay, so we are studying phonology today, in which before we study phonology, let me ask some questions. Maybe let's do an interactive discussion about what do you understand by audio? What is the meaning of audio? Or what do you understand by sound? Just feel free to discuss or tell your understanding. What is audio? Okay, waves and pressure and longitudinal waves. What else?
So sequence of waves.
I will just keep writing here so that we can discuss. This question is, what is sound? First answer I got is longitudinal waves.
So some signals.
Signals of
Waves.
signals, waves. Okay, I think that's similar to the first point, huh? Okay. What is sound?
Compression and rarefaction through the medium.
Vibrations.
That is also longitudinal waves, signals, vibrations, compression and rarefactions. What else? Auditory stimulus. Okay. What else? What is sound? Time series, that is a signal. Signal is a time series. Right. Maybe you want to say that signals and time series are the mathematical entities, whereas longitudinal waves are the physical entities. Okay, we can make two classes here. What else? What else? What is audio? What is sound? No sound. Speak something. Energy? What is energy? Okay, that's a separate question. What is energy? Okay, I'll just say energy means acoustic energy or like some mathematical entity called energy. Okay, so basically you have a signal, it's time series, a signal is there, a discrete time signal, and from there you can derive summation over all n x of n mod square, that is energy. So energy is a statistics computed over this time series. What else? Acoustic energy, that could also be the statistics derived from vibration, or it could be another composite quantity. Let's say you have amplitude square, at every time you have some amplitude, and we have discussed intensity in the past, so maybe something related to intensity. Okay, what else is sound? Entropy change. Okay, when we have energy we can always talk about entropy also. What else?
That would go in the physical space as well.
Okay, it has a physical understanding also, entropy. Although, okay.
The second one could be information, and the upper one could be entropy.
Yeah, entropy is like mutual information. I mean, from entropy we compute mutual information, and the upper entropy could be the thermodynamic entropy. Okay. Okay, what else?
The signal which passes through the nerves when you hear sounds which gets processed by the brain. Can you know that sound?
Signal which?
The signal which the brain receives.
Signal which the brain receives, then
I mean, which is used for auditory perception. Can this signal?
means give some concrete example. So you said auditory stimulus. You are saying that the brain receives some stimulus and it gets excited or it has some synapse. That's a technical term used. So basically, it's some neurological process, right? So that's what you want to say, neurological process. Okay, what else?
We can separate it from electromagnetic signals because sound requires a medium. That will be
Okay, so you are saying that these longitudinal waves, they need some medium. In some medium. Okay. What else?
That it has some information like words, sentences, speak, or
Okay, they carry some information.
in form of
They may or may not carry some information. Can carry information. Okay, what else?
Speech,
Speech means?
like humans, vowels, sentence, language.
Speech. Language.
So that would be the sound which has information, and like the interpretable information would be in speech or language, and the other sounds are just like occurrences.
Okay. Can there be a sound without any information?
What is the definition of information? Like interpretable information, like what you are saying, or if a pen falls down, then it does not have any information apart from us perceiving that a pen has fallen down, or something has fallen down.
It has information for the person whose pen has fallen down. And that person can immediately, oh, here's my pen. Can there be sound without information?
White noise.
White noise. Like this noise, does it have any information? You are hearing some noise.
I mean, so there is an interpretation of that information, but there is inherently it is just a disturbance of.
Information is information, whether you use it or not, whether you kind of consider it useful or not, but it is information. Let's say AC is running. If somebody comes into the room, they don't have to check with an ammeter and voltmeter whether AC is running or not. They just hear the sound, oh, it's working. They go away, right? In industries, they are installing audio, what is it called? Audio-based, it has a, anomalous sound detection or predictive maintenance. Predictive maintenance systems which will just hear the sound and they will tell whether the machines are working fine or not. So there is information. Okay, so
It's a sound is a system response,
system response, you mean that?
like an LTA like system.
Yeah, that we have discussed signal. It's a signal, so you can process it with an LTI system. Any other understanding of sound? Okay, so let's discuss about these things which you have told me. So longitudinal waves in some medium, vibrations, thermodynamic entropy. So in the mechanical engineering department, they have a separate section called they work on acoustics. So they study the acoustics of sound. For example, designing the lecture hall complex. How should the acoustics of this room be so that you can hear me without even a microphone? Can you hear me? You can hear. Why? Because there is no reverberation. Why are there wooden walls here, like wood-like walls here? Why not simple marble walls? Or often, if you go to temples, you will see marble walls, and it's not very good acoustics. The voice really resonates, and even if you want to say something, it becomes very disturbing because of the echo or resonance which you get. But in this room, you don't see marble walls, but you see wood-like walls. Why? Because they don't allow the sound to reverberate. So there is a complete area, the huge area of research, area of study called acoustics, where people study all these aspects, the mechanical aspects of sound. Let's come to the next one. That's what we have been doing, I think, in this beginning of the course. Sound as time series or signals or computing energy, Parseval's theorem, etc., and entropy, information theory. So all that is our, we have spent quite a lot of time here. Next one is auditory stimulus, brain receives, and neurological processes. So there are people who work on psychoacoustics. In psychoacoustics, you study the neural response or neurolinguistics. Neurolinguistics, psychoacoustics. So these are the areas which study the neurological relationships of sounds, like how different sounds invoke different responses in our brain, and they are very interesting responses. Like there are, I was in the linguistics faculty at Oxford, where we used to study, not me, but my other colleagues used to study this neurolinguistics. And I was kind of just using their results for my modeling. Okay. So just a quick recap. So this is mechanical engineering, that you have mechanical aspects of sound. This is electrical engineering or signal processing. This is psycholinguistics, neurolinguistics, or psychoacoustics. And then this is linguistics, where you study sound as a language. This is what we are going to study today in our today's class. Today's lecture will be focused on this aspect, that sound as carrier of linguistic information. Right? Sound as a carrier of linguistic information. So this area is called linguistics, and specifically we'll be studying about phonology. There are two divisions of linguistics which deal with sound as a carrier of information. So these are phonetics and phonology. So we'll discuss these today in our lecture. Anything else you missed? Maybe the project. What was it about? Music. Nobody mentioned music. Do you want to mention that? Maybe it is also information, but then a very different kind of information. And this area is called music information retrieval, where we are trying to extract some information from music. For example, what notes are playing, what beats are playing, what strokes are playing, and what tonic is there in the tanpura, and what else? Who is a singer, who is singing. Anything else? Anything else?
Acoustic events. Detecting acoustic events.
Yeah, acoustic events. Yeah, so environmental sound analysis. Yeah, I think this could be a subdivision of this. This could be a subdivision of this. Then environmental sounds. So these are the areas. Environmental sound analysis means AC is running or not, somebody is coughing or not, somebody's pen is falling or not. These are environmental sounds, and you can detect them. So this area of speech and language, it's linguistics. The area of music, it's very old area, musicology, and you have uh, in musicology you study different musical traditions, different physics of music. For example, let's say if you consider the music as a signal, then what kind of frequencies are present, etc., etc. Those aspects of music are studied. And then, yeah, then different musical notations, different musical systems, how different musicological systems are formed, etc. Like Indian classical music versus Western classical music, or Bollywood music, or so they are all different genres of music. So people have been studying these very nicely in so many parts of the world. Environmental sounds are like those sounds which are not speech or music, maybe AC is running or not, etc., etc. Maybe the people who work on mechanistic understanding of sound, they may be interested in this as well, because they study a lot of vibrations, and a lot of vibrations are there in the environment because of machines. That's why mechanical engineers have invested a lot of time and effort into this. Okay, anything else? Sonar, yeah. 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 So by combining this longitudinal waves and their reflective properties, we can study the surfaces from where they are getting reflected, and that can help you to, what do you say, a non-invasive way of studying the internal structure of something. Let's say inside the body, or inside some buildings, or inside the ocean, when you have limited visibility, but sound waves can propagate to long distances. That's why the submarines, they use sonar systems for finding out what is happening inside the ocean. Yeah. Anything else? It's a very rich area. Something which we missed altogether is sound and health. What can you say about health of a person? Yeah, ultrasound is fine. Ultrasound means you are. But let's say when you speak something, can we tell something about your health? Right? From the kind of cough you make, I can detect whether it is COVID or not. From the kind of your voice, I can detect whether your voice is, your epiglottis, or the glottal opening has got some, what do you say, swelling, or sometimes nodules are formed. So many disorders can be detected. Autism. How many of you know about autism? Autism is there or not, you can tell from a person's voice. Not person's, but let's say children's voice. When children are autistic, then from their speech, we can detect. What else? Stroke. Yes, somebody has got a stroke. Some old people, they get Alzheimer's or dementia or Parkinson's disease. So all these can be detected very early from the sounds, from the kind of sounds they make. Tuberculosis can be detected from the cough. What else? Pathological speech. So there's this whole area of pathological speech analysis in which it's also called voice-based biomarkers, where you try to detect different biological symptoms or biological markers in the voice. Anything else? Anything else?
Sound is healthy.
Sound as therapy, yes. Sound has an effect on us. So there is an area called music therapy. I'm not an expert in that, and I don't know any experts in that area, but it's a very well-established area, and if you're interested, you can study from some sources. So music therapy, it is useful for many things. Yeah, before we go to music therapy, I would like to tell about another area, which is music and emotions. Oh, sorry, sound and emotions. Sorry, not music. So sounds, they have, we interact with sound not just as language, not just as music, but also with emotions. It can affect our emotions, and our emotions can affect the sound. It's both ways, right? So how sound affects our emotions? For example, if I listen to sad music, I may become sad. If I listen to good music, I'm not an expert in that area, but there are. When you go to watch a movie, there the sound is not designed by a novice person. It's designed by very good sound engineers or very good people who know an area called aesthetics. Aesthetics means how do you organize the sound so that they evoke certain emotions within the listener. So when you go for dramas and music, there is very rich literature studying the aesthetic components of sounds. How many of you are here from Dram Club? Nobody. Music club? 1, 2, 2 people. Yeah. So in music, you know that when you compose music, you are very careful, not about the rules that much, but more about the emotions it will create. When you are making music for a movie like Border, it's one kind of music. If you are making music for a movie which is like a romance movie, it's a different kind of music, right? So, it comes with practice, but there is also a science behind it, and this science is called the science of aesthetics. It is like a soft science, aesthetics, but there is a very rigorous study. It falls under the category of humanities, social sciences, but aesthetics. And it's very rigorous, and maybe from today's discussion on phonology, you can appreciate how rigorous it is. Anything else? Anything else? No? Okay. So let's come back to our original question. Then what is sound? So many things. What is sound exactly? Did you hear a sound? Was it a sound? How do you know it was a sound? How did you detect the sound?
Because we can only hear.
By hearing. That's the most basic definition of sound. Anything that we can hear is sound. Everything else comes later. Everything else kind of is secondary definition. But the primary definition is anything which we can hear is sound. So let's analyze it in terms of objects and detectors. Sound is the object, and our ear, or we, are the detectors. Right? I hear the sound. But if you make the detector as some vibrating entity, maybe a tuning fork, or maybe a sonometer, or maybe a vibrating machine, then it becomes the interaction of sound with that mechanical entity. Here is that study. The interaction of sound with a microphone vibrates, it generates the, what is it called, the changes in the current amplitude or the voltage magnitude, and that is recorded by our computer, and we sample it, quantize it, and it becomes a time series or a discrete time signal or a discrete signal. We study it using. So it's an interaction of sound with our microphone and the subsequent mathematical time series. Here, the interaction of sound with our mechanical brain and the EEG responses which are generated, right? Or fMRI, or there are so many other kinds of ways to look at the potential, electric potential changes inside the brain.
Evoked potential.
Pardon?
Evoked potential.
Evoked potentials. Thank you. Yeah. So you are an expert in neuroscience. So I'm just a novice in that. Then this is the interaction of sound with us, but the sound as speech or language or music or sounds, environmental sounds. The interaction of sound with our physical body, interaction of sound with our, again, physical and psychophysical body. This is interaction of sound with our emotions. So, right. So we are studying an object and the detector is changing, right? Sound is the object, and so many detectors, they lead to so many fields of study. So if you ask what is sound, then a simple understanding is anything that we hear, where I am the detector, but then if you change the detector, you get so many other things also. Okay. Generally, we mostly confine ourselves to these areas because before AI, etc., came, these areas were very important. We were living in an age where mechanical aspects of the nature were more important. Means nature was seen as in a more mechanistic way. Then gradually we moved towards electronics, and nature was seen as these things. And information theory came, and nature was seen as not just mechanistic objects but also information. So information is more important than mechanical realization of the information. And then with AI and machine learning, we are able to go really deep into this information aspect, and we are able to see that sound is not carrying only one kind of information. It is carrying so rich information, and depending on what is my detector, I can focus on different kinds of informations. Yeah. Okay, now change of gears. Now our next discussion is on phonology. What is phonology? Phonology is this area where we study sound as speech or language. A very small area in the whole map, but this is a very rich area. And many people have done their PhDs, and still they are doing their PhDs, and still it's a very rich area. It's an apparently inexhaustible area. Okay, let's start with something very basic. What is phonetics? This chart, which you are seeing here, it's called the International Phonetics Association chart, IPA chart. So this chart is made by phoneticians to capture all possible sounds which are there in any language in the world. It's called the IPA chart, and they have given a symbol to every sound. So for example, these are the consonants, these are also the consonants, these are the vowels, and etc., etc. So generally, it's good to see, let's say, the consonants. Let's look at the consonants first.
Is this English specific or?
No, any language. You can write Hindi in these symbols. This is the per sound. Okay, I think there is another web page which gives you You can hear also here. This is the official IPA web page. It has international IPA chart with sounds. Yeah, you can see here vowels and you can see the consonants.
Pa, appa.
Could you hear this? Pa. This is the ba sound.
Ba, abba.
Pa, ba, ta, da, ta, da. Ka, ga. Yeah, these are the sounds. And then you have here sh, z, sh, ya. Then this is sa, za, tha, the. All these sounds are there. Many of them are there in English and Hindi. Many of them we don't know. Means those languages we don't know. So generally, how are these sounds classified? So these sounds are organized. They're not just random sounds, just a list of sounds. They are organized in a very nice structure. The structure looks like this. So you can see here, these are called plosive sounds, where let's say your lips have closed and they suddenly open. Pa, ba, ta, da. And these are labial sounds, right? Where your lips are involved. Pa, ba. You say it and you can feel your pa. And whereas when you say ta, lips are not involved, but your tongue and your teeth are involved. Your teeth and your tongue. Ta, da. Can you see your lips? Your front edge of your tip of your tongue is touching the back of your teeth. Ta, da. Retroflex. Now you see your tip of the tongue is not touching the teeth but slightly behind the teeth. Ta, da. Then you have ka. Here your back of your tongue touches your upper portion. What is it called? The palate. Huh? Upper palate. So the back of your tongue touches the upper palate. Ka. Can you say ka? Don't be shy. You will learn. Ka. Ga. So these are all plosive sounds, and they are categorized into these categories. And you can make so you see that different sounds are there. It's a hierarchy. The different sounds are there. Now, whether Anup says pa or I say pa, but both are pa. So his sound and my sound, we are categorized classified as the same pa sound. Now, there is a bigger hierarchy, a bigger level where pa and ba, they're also classified into one group. And this group is called the labial group. The labial group. And these sounds, ta, da, ta, da, they are classified into another group called the coronal group. Coronal group. And then these sounds, ka, ga, etc., these are classified into another group called the dorsal group. Coronal, dorsal, labial. So you can make groups, and these groups are not just formed in an unsupervised way. They are formed based on interactions. We will see some interesting interactions, that how one group can change into the other group. I mean, sounds of one group can change into the other group given some context. So these groups, they help in generalizing the rules. We'll see that further. Then you have nasal sounds like ma, na. Okay, tell me a labial nasal sound. A sound which is labial and nasal. Ma, right? Lips are involved and it's nasal. Nasal means, I hope you understand. In In Hindi phonology, it's called Nasik, right? Anunasik. Tell me a coronal nasal sound. Na. Na, nya, right? Tell me a dorsal nasal sound. Ang. Where do you say ang? When you say anga. When you say anga, this na in anga is different from na in Nepal or ma in Maharashtra. The anga, this sound is different. How many of you read it in Hindi, ka, kha, ga, gha, something, and then you didn't understand what it was? I never understood it until I learned phonology. How many of you learned? How many of you were confused when you saw this da with a dot? And you said, what is this sound? You can't even make it. So yeah, that was my experience as well. Now, when you say chanchal, then this nya, chang, chanchal, nya sound is different from na, different from anga, different from ma. It's nya sound. So that's why they are they're given different symbols.
Is it like based on different configuration of this
Yeah.
whole thing?
Yes.
You are categorizing the sounds.
Yes. So good question. It's much more deeper than that. That is first level of understanding, but we'll go a little further deeper. We'll see. Okay. Are you able to appreciate this? Likewise, you have vowels now. These were consonants, now vowels. Vowels have a different story. You have, when you say E, everybody say E. Where is your tongue? Versus you say oo, E and oo. How your tongue travels?
In the front and then go back.
Yeah. When you say E, tongue is in the front. When you say oo, tongue is in the back. E, oo. Okay, now you say E and a. E, a. What is the difference? When you say E, tongue is E, a. E, a. To say a, you have to open your mouth a bit, which means your tongue goes down. Actually, whenever you speak, what moves? Your upper part, upper lip or lower lip? Yeah, lower jaw, okay. Upper jaw or lower jaw? Upper jaw, no, lower jaw moves. Are you convinced about it? If you're not convinced, then place your chin on the table and try to speak, and then see what moves. So yeah, so that's why it is said when you say a, the tongue goes down. When you say e, the tongue is in the upper portion. E, a. So when you open your mouth to say a, the tongue goes down. When you say a versus, yeah, I think. When you say a and oo, what is the difference? A, oo. Not a, but a. A and oo. What's the difference?
Opening of
A, o, oo. Okay. Opening of mouth. Okay. What about tongue? So oo. When you to say oo, you have to round your lips, right? Lips become round, so that's why it has a labial. It's a kind of labial sound. Oo is a labial sound because lips are involved. Okay. So now, what else is the difference between oo and a? Oo, a.
So this front with respect to closer to lips, front is closer to lips, back is closer to throat.
Yes. Yes. Ooh, ah. The front portion of the lip, the tip of the tongue does not move, but what moves is the back of the tongue. Whether it is, when you say ooh, it is touching the back palate, right? Can you see that? Can you feel that? Ooh. It's touching the upper palate, means very close to the upper palate, not touching but very close. When you say ah, it is down. That's why oo is uh, uh, it is up there and ah is down. The tongue is down. So that's the basically origin of this chart. And then these are not the only sounds. There are so many sounds, so many vowels which you can make, and all these vowels are there in the all these. Yeah, you can ignore this because different phoneticians, different phonologists, they have their own way of grouping things. So this is by some phoneticians, and this is their way of grouping things. And phonologists, they have their own way of grouping things. So
What's the difference between phonetics and phonology?
we'll discuss that in today's lecture. We'll come to that. So the purpose is that this chart like aims to cover all possible vowels in any language. How many vowels are there in Hindi? I also don't know, 10 or 12 probably, I don't know. 12? 12. There are some languages which may have even more vowels. Some languages which have fewer vowels. English has fewer, I think. I don't know. 5? A, E, I, O, U? Those are in like written form, but in spoken form there are many more. No? Like,
How are you deciding it's the vowel based on the kind of sound you
good question. We will discuss that in today's class. How do you decide what is a vowel? What is a separate kind of vowel? Yeah. Yeah. In vowel, your airflow is very smooth, means it can flow, and in consonants, there is either a lot of restriction, lot of constriction, or it's a kind of plosive sound.
Vowel, it's like this glottal opening and closing, it happens frequently, I think.
Yeah. So generally, if you talk in terms of signal processing, vowels are mostly continuous, periodic sounds. They're periodic, and the consonants are mostly aperiodic. But there are exceptions. There are consonants which are periodic. For example, consonants which are periodic. Consonants which are periodic. Ma sound, na sound. Nasals are periodic. Okay, let me. So you can explore this on your own. I will kind of move to the next part. Okay, now somebody asked what is the difference between phonetics and phonology. So this is the difference. So phonetics is mostly concerned with the production and classification of words' speech sounds, right? All possible sounds which you can make with your mouth as a part of language, they are studied by phonetics. How do you produce sounds? For example, when you say ah, your tongue goes down, it is at the back, it is slightly in this way, that way, etc. That is all phonetics. The chart which we saw, it was from the phoneticians. And then how do you classify different sounds, etc., etc. Phonology, on the other hand, is concerned with the way in which sounds form patterns in a language. I'll give examples like this. Can you read this? Somebody can read very loudly, or everybody do together. Read loudly. Are these same sounds or different sounds? The ka here and the ka here and the ka here, are they same or different? Huh? Okay, when you say, okay, this is actually in Western English, not Indian English, but Western English, there is no ka sound. What do they say? Kha. Keep. They will never say keep. They say keep. Keep. Cart. Coot. Seek. Scoop.
There is no G.
Huh?
In Dutch, there is no G.
Huh. Yeah, every language has a special characteristic. So in in American English or British English, there is no k. There is no k sound. It's all k. Keep. So when you say keep and cart, there's a difference. What is the difference? When you say k in keep, like keep, my tongue is lower than when I say cart. When you say coot, I'm saying k. I'm not saying k. I'm saying ko, because my lips are rounded because I have to say oo later. So it's coot, not k but ko. So it's different. If you look at the spectrogram, it will be different. That's an exercise for you. Look at the spectrograms of k in these sounds and then determine whether they are same or different. Sorry. When you say seek, it's not k, it's seek, and you just close your seek. Right? It just you close your glottis, and that's it. That's the end of it. Means you don't say anything else later. When you say scoop, even if the British people say scoop, they will not say scoop. They will say scoop, because there is a s. When the k is preceded by a s sound, then there is no aspiration. There is no h. It's scoop. It's not scoop. Scoop. So what do you find here? The same k is a different sound in different context, in different settings. Should I call it as a same? So the units in phonetics are called phones, and the units in phonology they are called phonemes. So are these different phones? Are these different phones, or are these different sounds acoustically? The answer is yes. They are different phones. But in language, are they different phones? Are they different entities or same entity? Same entity. So they are the same phoneme. So you notice here the phones are represented by square brackets, and the phonemes are represented within slash, backslash. Right? So I remembered it this way, that the phone looks like a telephone. Let's study the phonetics. They study the surface form, means the acoustic realization of the sounds, whereas the phonology they study the underlying representation of sound, the way we generate it, the way it interacts with our internal linguistic faculty, right? When I want to say keep, I want to say keep. I don't worry about whether it is keep or scoop or heck, etc., etc. So phonemes are the building blocks of a spoken language. That's the difference between phonology and phonetics. Phonetics is concerned about the acoustic realization, that is it a different sound or not. But phonology is concerned with, in that language, is it playing a different role or not, right? In the language, whether it is playing a different role or not. And this is very different from the way it is written, especially in English. You see the example of, read it very loud. So, what is this CH? Just a minute, I think I need to change this example a bit. Right? I think this is better. Read it now. Acne. Nobody knows acne? What's acne? Huh? Pimples, right? Okay. So, are these same phoneme or different phoneme? Same phoneme, right? The same sound k, whether it's in school or acne or keep or back, it's the same sound k, but written the writing letter is so different. Here it is ch, only c, k, ck, right? This written form, the writing system is called the orthography, whereas the linguistic sound, it is called the phoneme. So these are the same phoneme but different letter. Now let's consider another example. Same letter but different phoneme. Read it loud. CH. Same letters CH, but here they sound like k, here they sound like ch, here they sound like sh. So the phonemes are different, but the letters are same. And so we saw how phonemes are classified. So for example, in consonants, we saw coronal, dorsal, labial, etc. In vowels, we saw front, back, and rounded, and we saw high and low vowels. So there is a different opinion of some phonologists that instead of calling it as front, back, and rounded, why don't we use the same terms? Call it as coronal, dorsal, and labial. Right? The U sound, oo sound, it is rounded, but don't call it rounded, just call it labial. So which means this feature labial, or this category, the label labial, it is applicable to both consonants as well as vowels. But some phonologists, they differ. They say, no, we should not call it labial. Labial is for consonants. For vowels, we should make a separate category, separate label. Let's call it as rounded. So people don't agree with each other. Why? Because they have their different use cases in mind and their different ways of analyses. They don't agree. So what we can see here is modeling. We have observations, and how we model, it's totally up to us. Means it may be different. For example, I may model it as one unit. Somebody else may model it as different units. Whether it is phonetics or phonology, all these k sounds, you want to model them as one unit or different units, it's up to you. But that's your model. Every model is a model. Okay, now let's see some, in phonology, how do you construct these categories? How do you know this is a phoneme? Why do I call keep and scoop? They are same phoneme k, means they contain the same phoneme k. And why do the phoneticians say that they are different phonemes, different phones? The phoneticians, their use case is very clear. They look at the spectrogram or they look at the sound. Is it the same acoustic sound or not? They'll say, no, it is not same. Scoop and keep, they are not same sound. So let us keep them as separate units or separate clusters. This cluster is K with the H at the superscript. This is the K with the H and W at the superscript, etc., etc. But now how do you construct phonemes? So we saw phonologists and we saw phoneticians. Phoneticians say, okay, look at the sound, that's it. But phonologists say, no, look at the use in a language, how it is used in a language. For example, so their way of constructing is construct minimal pairs. If you can find a minimal pair, then this means the phonemes are different. When you say bad and pad, so if you look at the a and d sounds, they are same in both the cases. Only one unit is differing. Bad and pad. Are these different words in English language? In English language, are these different words with different meanings? Yes or no? This means b and p are different phonemes, because phonemes are the building blocks of a language. And since there is a difference in the realized form or the language, the words, there must be some difference in the underlying form, right? Therefore, b and p must be different. I repeat, since there is a difference in the surface form, this difference must be accounted for by some difference in the underlying form. That is the basic principle. So bad and pad are different because so b and p are different because bad and pad are different. So now you can construct minimal pairs. Tell me any two phonemes in Hindi or in English. K and R. Are they different phonemes or same phoneme? K and R. How do you know? Construct a minimal pair. Cat and rat. So cat and rat are different words with different meanings in a language. So K and R are different phonemes in that language. They may not be different in some other language. Okay, more examples. More examples. Now tell me some phoneme first, and then we'll construct minimal pair. Let's say, sa and ta, sa and ta, sa and ta. Yeah, I think sa and ta are in Hindi. So, yeah, sota and tota. Yeah, sota and tota. So, sota means sleeping, tota means parrot. So, sota and tota are different. Therefore, sa and ta are different phonemes. Now, can you do this with? Let's say, back and keep. Back and keep. Back is acoustically different, right? Back, ack. Whereas keep is different. Can you construct a minimal pair to distinguish between these two units or phones? Can you construct a minimal pair? Huh? You cannot, because this ka will always, it has to be followed by some vowel, whereas this ka should not be followed by any vowel. So you cannot construct a minimal pair to distinguish the ka or ka of a keep and ka of a back. Therefore, they are the same phoneme. Right? Okay. So two phones never occurring in the same context. Context means the environment or the neighboring other units. They can be grouped together as the same phoneme. This is called complementary distribution. And the example is keep and scoop and back, etc. Back. So they are complementary distribution means, okay, they are different sounds, but the underlying phoneme is the same. And it can remind you of hidden Markov models, right? Just to help you understand, although linguists will never talk about hidden Markov models, but since we have knowledge about hidden Markov models, we can appreciate it better. So you have a state and you have a observation. What is the state here? What's the state here? Phoneme is the state. What is the observation? The sound, the acoustic realization is the observation. Oh yeah, you can say phone is the observation. And then for the phone, if the phoneme is a state, what is the observation? The acoustic form is the observation. Or you can skip the phone step altogether. Say phoneme is my underlying state or the hidden underlying representation, and sound is the observation. Right? So this is called complementary distribution, which means the same state but different observations. Now there could be two phones determined by minimal pair and they are distinguished as different phonemes. So this is called the contrastive distribution, which means you can find two phones which have minimal pairs, and they lead to different words with different meanings. So they have a contrast. So they are different phonemes. Okay. Now something interesting. Two things which could be phonemes in one language may not be phonemes in another language. An example is kh and k. In English, are these different phonemes? No. Both of them, they belong to the same phoneme. They are like both sounds, they are in same phoneme. An example you have seen, scoop, and keep. Scoop has k sound and keep has kh sound. So both k and kh, they are the same phoneme. What about Hindi? Are they different phonemes or same phoneme? Okay, how do you prove it? How do you justify your answer?
Single pairs, khali,
Khali and kali. When you say khali, it means empty. When you say kali, it means black. So khali and kali are different, therefore ka and kha are different in Hindi. But in English, you cannot find such minimal pair. That's why in English, ka and kha are same sound. So when you go to Britain or Europe, never say ka, always say kha. They will understand you better. Because if you say ka, they will say, what are you saying? They will not be able to understand. But if you say kha, they will understand. Because they never use ka, they always use kha. Similarly, pa and pha. In English, you say pen, you never say pen. You say pen. So therefore, pa and pha are the same phoneme in English. But in Hindi, they are different. Any example? Huh? Pal and phal, very good. Very good. This is a standard example used by linguists. Have you studied linguistics anywhere? This is a standard example, pal and phal. Pal means a second or a unit of time. Phal means fruit. Different meanings. So therefore, these are different words. Therefore, pa and pha have to be different phonemes. But in English, you cannot do that. All right. Any other? Yeah. Then sometimes these phonemes also travel to other languages. Let's say some phonemes from some language can travel to another language. A classic example in British context are these consonants, th. The sound th. English has no sound called th. Do you know any word which has th sound? Th? Huh? At aesthetics.
any word with he and X.
Yeah. So English has many th sounds. But you will be surprised to know that original English had no th. They all came from Greek. Because you had words like orthopedics, all medical terminology, they had th sound. So that's how English also got th sounds. Okay, so in any examples in Hindi, did we import any sounds from other languages? Maybe English, because Britishers were ruling here. Even Mughals were ruling here. So many words from Persian, Arabic, and many words from English. Not words, but the phonemes we're talking about. Not words are common, but phonemes is also interesting. Z. Hindi has, or Sanskrit had no Z sound, but it came from Persian influence. This phoneme came to Hindi language. Now you have so many Z sounds. Okay, more examples. Phonemes which have come from other languages. Okay. You gave an example. What was that? No, okay, don't. I'll. If you don't appear for the end-sem exam, you will get a dash grade. F grade. Okay. Now, in Hindi, what do we say? In Hindi, what do you say? Uska dash lag gaya. You say fakka, right? What is this sound? F. What? This is a phoneme, right? And it's not a Hindi phoneme. It's not a Sanskrit phoneme. In Sanskrit, there is no sound called F. What did you say here? Just the example you gave was pal and. It's not phal, it's phal. Pal and phal. In original like Hindi or original Sanskrit, you will never have F. You will have P. Phal. You will never see failure. You will say failure. And many people, they say failure. Do you know any people who say failure? If you go to people who are not that much English oriented, or those who are not educated, they will always say failure. They will never say failure. They will say fail. वो लड़का fail हो गया, right? और वो नहीं बोलेंगे फल खाना है, हमें बोलेंगे फल खाना है, बेटा फल खा लो. They will never say फल खा लो. So this fur is from English. It's not. Okay, more examples. Okay, now you have to tell me. Okay, I'll say a sentence, you convert it into a question. ठीक है? आज की क्लास बहुत अच्छी लगी. What's the question? आज की क्लास बहुत अच्छी लगी. जोर से बोलो. आज की क्लास कैसी लगी? Anybody else wants to say? आज की क्लास? Say it loud. Don't be shy. कैसी लगी? But this is also not in our language. Not original. It is in our language, but it's not in the original Sanskrit or Indo-Aryan language. Indo-Aryan language family. Kaise. Kaise is never. It is never kaise. This phoneme a, the vowel a, is not there in Sanskrit. कैसे लगी? आज की क्लास कैसे लगी? They will never say कैसी लगी. It's कैसे लगी? आज की क्लास कैसी थी? If you talk to some person in villages in UP, so if you go to some remote areas around Kanpur, you talk to some villagers, they will never say कैसे, they will say कैसे हो.
But in Sanskrit we used to study these plural and singular words, and they वाला sound.
वो अपभ्रंश है. That is a misspoken word. It's actually it's aise, kaise. Or in Sanskrit also, wherever you have a, it's called kai. Kair lingais trin gunan. Verse from Bhagavad Gita. It is kair. It's not ka. It's kair. Whenever you read Sanskrit verses, you will always say I. Okay. Fine. Yeah. So you can see, I was surprised when I met. For I think I missed it. The courtesy for all these today's lecture is Professor Aditi Lahiri, who was my postdoc supervisor in Oxford, and she taught me phonology, linguistics, whatever I know. And before that, at IIT Kanpur, I did a course on linguistics under Professor Achla Rena. She taught the basic linguistics, but then this phonology specialization was taught by Professor Aditi Lahiri, and many of these examples are from her teachings. And when I met her, she asked me, what language do you speak? Okay, Punjabi. And then she told me many facts about Punjabi, the phonemes of Punjabi, which I even didn't know. And that was very interesting. Okay, so some terminology. You understand what is a phone? It's the phonetic unit. What is the phoneme? It's the phonological unit. What is the diphthong? When I say kaise, ai, so when two vowels they combine together to form a different vowel, it's called a diphthong. So ai is not a, it's not it's not e. It is a plus e, it becomes ai. It's a different vowel, but it's a continuous transition from a to e, kai. So it's called a diphthong. Every language has got diphthongs, and in Hindi you know kaise. Syllable. What is a syllable? The smallest spoken unit. Generally, it is a single vowel surrounded by some consonants. When I say kaise, how many syllables are there? How many vowels are there? Kaise. 2 vowels. So there are 2 syllables also. One syllable is kai, other syllable is se, kaise. Generally in Hindi, when we write syllable wise. We write ka and a ki matra or ai ki matra. So that's a single syllable. Then sa and a ki matra, that's another syllable. So this is how syllables are formed. And you cannot speak less than a syllable. You cannot speak a phoneme. Say a phoneme pa. You cannot say pa because you also always have to add an a sound after pa to make it pa. Means you cannot say this pa in isolation. The smallest spoken unit is a syllable. When you say pa, it's pa plus a. That's why in Hindi or Sanskrit it is not written with pa halant. Pa halant means single pa, but that you cannot speak. That's why pa, when no halant, it means pa plus a. Okay. Then you have morphology. Morphology means study of words, their formation and relationships. When you form words, there are units. For example, when you say running, eating, sleeping, what is the common unit in all of these words? Ing. Ing is a syllable. So, but it's also a morpheme, or it's a unit of morphology because it constructs different words. Whenever you want to show present continuous tense, you will add an ing. So that morpheme kind of modifies the meaning that, okay, I am doing it in continuity. That's the area of morphology. Morphology can change the phonemes. Morphological context can change the phonemes. These are some examples. This is the underlying form and this is the surface form. Whenever you have bag, you want to pluralize it. Any word you want to pluralize it, you add a phonological entity. And that will lead to an acoustic form or a phone structure, an acoustic form. So now the model goes like this. Okay, say this word loudly. What is this?
Yes. Pushes.
This is a sound. Buses. Okay, this one. Bags. Buses. Keeps. These are all plurals, but they are different kinds of plurals. Why they are different? Bags, you are saying z sound at the end. It's not sa, it is z. Bags. Whereas keeps, it's not z, it's not keeps. It keeps sa sound. Sa, z. They are different. Right? But same pluralization. And here you see bus, you don't say buses. Say buses, you add an extra E in between. Or not, okay, in English it's E, but it's a sound. It's buses, E sound. Buses, 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 buses. Right? So now there is a process. Take a word, you want to pluralize it. How will you pluralize? There are 3 rules apparently. But one principle which is very important for modeling is brevity. Brevity means make your rules as simple as possible. Don't make multiple rules, but if you can minimize the number of rules, that is the best. Which means if your less number of rules are able to generalize better, that is a good model. And the same principle applies to machine learning also, right? You want to make very simple models which can generalize well. Rather than making separate model for every task, you want to make single model which can do multiple tasks together, multitask. So here also, so the model here goes like this. You add a z, don't add sa, s, etc. Just add a z. It's there. A vowel is inserted between, okay, first of all add a z. That is how you pluralize anything. Now you apply these 2 rules. If before that z, a strident is occurring, strident means s sound, s. Then you insert a vowel in between. Insert a vowel in between, the schwa or the sound, buses. And if the strident is not there, and if it is not strident but it is a voiceless consonant. Voiceless consonant. What are voiced consonants? Whenever I say p, b, b is a voiced version of p. You're saying p, but you have added some voicing into it. So p, b. In Hindi, it's very organized in phonological sense. You have k, kh, g, gh, p, ph, b, bh. So whenever you have k, drop the kh, that's the aspirated version, then g. So g is the voiced version of k. Then you have ch, ch, j, j, ch and j. J is the voiced version of ch. Then what else? T, th, d. T and d. So d is the voiced version of t. Right? So whenever you have unvoiced version before the z, then make this z also voiceless. So what is the voiceless version of z? S. S, z. Oh, ch is for j. S, z. Z. In Hindi we don't have z. That's why you don't see s something then z. S, sh. In Hindi we have s, sh, sh, j, s, sh, sh, j. Sorry. S, sh, sh, h. Okay. It's interesting that when we learn Hindi, when somebody says sa, sh, sh, it's very difficult to understand what is this shatkon wala sh. How many of you find it difficult to understand what is shatkon wala sh? How is it different from the shalgam wala sh? Right? So actually the Hindi which we speak, we can't find any minimal pair to distinguish this sh and sh. But in Sanskrit, there you could find. That's why this sh and sh distinction, it worked very well in Sanskrit, but in Hindi somehow it doesn't work very well. Okay. Okay. Now let's see this rule. This word is there, church. What is the plural version of it? Okay, now apply the rule. See, does it work? What is the first step? Apply Z. Church plus Z. What is rule number 1? Is it a strident sound? The ch, actually ch, it is a strident sound. So you have to add a vowel in between. So it becomes churches. Huh? Ch. Ch. So strident is sa, sh, sh. These are all stridents. Sa, sh, sh. These are stridents. So this one, ch. Actually, in English, nobody will say ch. They will say ch, ch. It is a t followed by a sh. Ch. Church. They will never say church. We say church because we have ch. They don't have a ch phoneme. They have ch. Church. Church. So, t and sh. Okay, so that's why the sh is the strident one. So we add an schwa. So it becomes churches. Churches followed by z only, right? So rule 2 won't apply because now you have an in between. Yeah. I think we have run out of our time.
It's like we import phonemes from Hindi when we speak.
Yeah, we often do mixing. We mix Hindi phonemes with English phonemes with Hindi phonemes. We say phal, not phal. We say church, not church. When I find it difficult to say. We don't say pen, we say pen. So we do that. So this is phonological mixing. So we do all kinds of mixing. Phonological mixing, we also do syntactic, semantic, all kind of mixing is possible. Okay, thank you very much. We stop here. One announcement.